YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back on Rome Total War. And yes, this is the original, and it is on small unit size settings, which is pretty redonkulous. I decided to jump into some multiplayer here just for good old time's sake, and it is actually a 5-person FFA to start off with. So let me introduce you to all the folks who are on the battlefield, and I don't guess... can I not turn on a battle map while I'm in here? No! RTS camera... Apparently not. So yeah, there's not going to be any tactical map or battle map, but let me kind of introduce you. So I'm the SPQR Romans. That's the purple Romans you're seeing here. You have the Scipii Romans here, commanded by Menzel Marlin, or something like that. You got the Greeks here, commanded by Tukon 13. Macedonians over here, commanded by J. Wiggy. And the Julii Romans, commanded by Gamerboy 282. And yes, so I know it looks kind of goofy because someone put it on small unit settings, but I'm guessing it's because a lot of the people who still play Rome do it because they love it, or they do it because their computer can't run the newer stuff. And when it comes to internet and not lagging and all that stuff, the small unit sizes help it not be laggy. And with 5 people, you can imagine that it could get kind of problematic eventually. But yeah, so you can see that we've got everything all lined up here, and getting some good old-fashioned Rome Total War. So when it started off, I was thinking to go straight at the Julii, but the Julii deployed close to the Macedonians, and now they're squaring off, and then the Scipii and the Greeks have met each other up here in the hill. Now this is a huge funds battle. It's like a 1,000,000 denarii battle, which means basically there's no way you're going to be able to spend all your denarii on your army, so you want to go for nothing but elite and completely upgraded. The Greek player kind of gets that here, but he should have just gone all Spartans instead of Spartans and armored hoplites, but still good units whenever they're fully upgraded. The Cretan archers were a terrible idea, and the reason I say that is because on these high unit settings, if other people are bringing high caliber units, the archers aren't going to make a big impact, and you'd rather have more high caliber infantry and cavalry. That the Scipii Roman must not know a whole lot about Total War, or Rome Total War, because he's brought less than elite units and hasn't even upgraded them. So the Scipii player is in terrible shape here, and he's wasting all this pilla on these Greek bodyguards that are running around wrecking his archers. And he's got some of his own bodyguard cav, and bodyguard cav was probably not a good pick here. He should have gone with Praetorian cav. He is trying to back them up with Triarii. But I've got my cavalry, so again, I'm the purple guys, and so I'm the SPQR Romans here, and I've got 6 Praetorian cav fully upgraded, and of course I've just spammed urban cohorts for my infantry. On a huge funds battle like 1,000,000 denarii, there is no other way to go. Yeah, that's pretty much the way you should do it. So my opponents obviously didn't understand this, and I hate spamming urbans and Praetorians as much as anybody else, but it is what it is. Let's go check out what's happening between the Macedonian and the Julii Romans. So apparently there was some kind of missile duel going on. You got Cretans up here with extremely long range firing off this hill. They are firing into a testudo though, which is going to be less than effective, but it looks like they were getting some kills prior to the infantry being in testudo, because some of these Romans have taken some losses. So yeah, and then the Macedonians got just a crap load of royal pikemen set up here in phalanx lines, and of course he's trying to protect his archers. So look like Cretan archers, royal pikemen, and he's got 1 general's armored bodyguard, so no cav, just a crap load of pikemen. Very risky choice. The Roman player over here apparently has legionary first cohorts. I can't tell if they're upgraded because their unit flags aren't showing up for some reason. I'm assuming they are because all of his Praetorian cav over here is very well upgraded. All these little flags over the cavalry shows you their extra upgrades, so extremely well upgraded Praetorian cav here. So the Roman player's chosen a decent army, and theoretically he should be able to easily defeat the Macedonian because the Macedonian's not pike boxed. And even if he did, he could use his pillar to break the pike box. So over here, the Greek army is in his own little noob box facing off with the Scipii, and right now the Greek is getting the better of the engagement with the Scipii. Scipii, whatever you want to call it. Scipii, I guess I'll call them. But yeah, in any case, look at all the pilla that are being wasted here. You definitely don't want to waste the pilla off your Roman units. Yeah, anyway, the Scipii cav looking for an opening, and there are openings here though. We have some armored bodyguard going into a Spartan general, which is always a good way to die. Even charging these Spartans from behind is a good way to die with your cavalry. You have to be very careful about how you do it, but the archers flee away and actually come out of the open, and so now the the Roman Scipii cav is going to get a hold of all these archers. So a waste of money to bring the Cretans anyway, and then getting them killed like that makes it an even bigger waste. So now the Greek cities are like completely immobile and phalanx oriented, and then all my units are having to run just to get here because it's forever away. But you can see all my sweet urban cohorts here. This unit doesn't make any sense whatsoever. An urban cohort would have been like a policeman, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. And then I got all my Praetorian cav who are now going to spark into action because there's no threat to them. I'm just being careful because this is a last man standing free-for-all, I think, not a scored resolution, but I'm playing both ways just to make sure. So I'm going for kills here. All the kills I can get just in case, because there's two kinds of free-for-all. Scored resolution means whoever gets the most kills wins, which is my favorite because then it doesn't encourage people to camp. And then you have last man standing, which is basically whoever has the last unit alive wins. And that one can get pretty campy. But as you can see here, now we have like a three-way brawl about to start. You got the Greek who realizes, hey, I'd rather face these Romans than the purple ones. But at the same time, who would you rather have your back turned to? Because I'm the one that has all the cavalry. So the Greeks are going to come engage this, the Scipii thinking that they can gain some type of advantage. And they may be able to because the Scipii army here is not particularly good. I am going to fast forward for a second because this combat doesn't start just yet. But here it comes. So the Scipii Roman charges into the Greek phalanxes. Very small phalanx units, and then I'm coming in to pounce for scraps here. I want to kill both of these players while they're engaging each other, and I intend to just surround them all and kill them all. This is why free-for-all battles can get so much fun. Here comes my cavalry for a rear charge again. It's going to do nothing because I'm charging into the back of fully upgraded Spartans. In fact, I lose more cavalry than I get kills, and so I'm like, alright, no more cavalry charges into the Spartans. We're just going to use our infantry. And in this game, units had 1 hit point, except for a few units had 2, like bodyguards, Spartans, bull warriors, Thracian, I don't remember what they call them, but like the Thracian Falxmen. There's a few units that had 2 hit points. I want to use my Pilla on the Greek phalanxes here. And you can see these guys fight like Alexandrian phalanx, even though they would have been more of a Greek one. But yeah, here comes the Pilla. The Pilla will cause a lot of damage to these tiny phalanx units. So this is going to be a great way for me to start to bust them up, and I'm hurling Pilla into this fight, and then just luring these Greeks into a surrounding maneuver, basically. And of course, you can see those Greeks just wood-chippered what Romans were left there very quickly, and the Scipii Roman decides that flight is much better than fight here, and so he just takes off running with everything that's left, and he's just going to run for the hills, quite literally. But I feel fine to stick around and kill this Greek player. I am a little bit scared to be launching all this Pilla, because there's still a Macedonian and a Julii player left, and the Pilla are very handy, but I really need to bring down the numbers of all these high-level Greek units. And now they're getting blobbed up, they're getting nailed with Pilla, and I'm getting kills, and you can see here I'm going to execute a complete surround, basically, on the Greek troops, and just start to fall in on them from every direction. And I bring my cavalry up just in case to get a few charges against weakened units like this Spartan general's down to 8 men. You can see that once it comes down to and my opponent's out of guard mode and everything, which is good. His guys are getting a nice push, but you can see that it kind of just pushes my guys back. They're so well armored and so tough that the Greeks still have a hard time killing them. And now they're just getting surrounded into a big brawl, and the urban cohorts are going to be unbeatable in a big broken up brawl like that. Unless you had a bunch of berserkers, maybe. The Spartan general just got trampled under a massive horse charge, and if we go out here and look, I'll kind of show you what's going on over here. The Julii player, just ran away with all of his cavalry and archers and just left a whole bunch of his infantry, and the Macedonian player just completely pincers the Julii infantry and just murders like a whole bunch of the Julii infantry. And it's just the weirdest thing because they had 6 Praetorian cav, could have easily used your infantry to fix, and then just rear charged all these royal pikemen who wouldn't have been near as stable in a rear charge as like the Spartan units, but instead the Julii player gets all of his infantry murdered, and now is just kind of going to run away with what cavalry he has because the Macedonian has no maneuverability whatsoever. So the Macedonian player is going to be completely immobile. So the Greek player paid for the price of immobility, and the Macedonian player is going to have to deal with it now as well. And the Scipii Romans kind of hanging out over here, and I was thinking, oh, well, they're going to stick around and I'll eventually get them too. But yeah, he should have taken advantage of this and tried to get into the back of some of my men, but I think he's very wary of my 6 Praetorian cav, as well he should be. And at this point we get a chain rout going amongst the Greeks. The Spartans decided that they were actually true cowards in their heart and that they can flee. No, most of them actually fought to the death. I know there's some of you out there who'll be mad at me for being mean to Spartans. Anyway, complete Greek chain route at this point, but some of his guys are fighting to the death because they're stuck in here like these Spartans, and I don't want to be in here against Spartans fighting to the death. So I go ahead and just pull my troops away so that the Spartans will actually flee, and then I can run them down with cavalry, because you can see they're actually still managing to get a fair number of kills. So yeah, it's at this point that the Julii player just runs away from the Macedonian, and the Scipii decided that running a little ways is good, and running farther than that is even better. So Scipii player is going to run back here to these hills and rocks, so literally flee to the hills. And I was typing stuff, not mean stuff, but you have to have a little bit of banter in a free-for-all battle. It's just the way it goes. So I was basically asking the Julii and the Scipii where they were running away that my army's over here if they want to go ahead and just get this over with. So just teasing them. The Macedonian player really can't run because he's just all pikes. He could have gone and corner camped though, and there is no time limit either. And so I have it on fast forward. It takes a lot longer for your men to recover stamina in this game. It's not like Attila where they gain it very quickly. You can see here the mass of dead Greeks, and of course some of my own men died in this fight as well. The mass of dead Scipii soldiers here as well. So yeah, so far I've gotten a decent number of kills on the Scipii, and of course killed the entire Greek army. The Greek army didn't have huge numbers. I'm going to go out here with my cavalry, which I've moved ahead because I see some Macedonian archers. Now this was probably a mistake because there's 6 basically untouched Praetorian cav for the Julii player that are running around. But I want to come over here and just get some more kills because, again, I don't remember if it was a scored resolution or if it's last man standing. So I want all the kills I can get in case it's scored. So I bring these Praetorian cav in and start murdering these fully upgraded Cretan archers. And the movement orders are just so very different. It's like over here, I make a movement order away, and all my cavalry runs the opposite direction. And I was like, what? What are you doing? Fortunately, they kind of got into the small gaps in between the pikemen, and most of my units actually make it out of here alive when they could have been absolutely massacred. So that was extremely fortunate circumstances for me. And I managed to kill a whole bunch of the Cretan archers and get a few more kills. That was extremely risky. And it's going to take me a while to get my infantry over here. So again, that's why I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward. I think my infantry are still way up on this hill. So you can see the just how big the battlefields are, and again the Scipii player is just gonna he's happy to just stay way up here over on this hill, and then the Julii player is gonna run away and hide in the woods. So I think the Julii and the Scipii at this point are content to just sit around and see if they can get away with this. But although I feel confident in my ability to kill the Macedonian, I was like, you know what? This Scipii player's put himself close to the red line and all these rocks, so I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna trap him. So I'm going to fast forward. I bring in my infantry, and of course this guy does not want to fight. He's just going to keep running and running to try and stay alive. But he's going to get pinned up over here. He sends his 1 cavalryman that's alive against my Praetorian or my urban cohorts, and not really going to accomplish anything. So I just keep on moving, and he keeps on running from me, from my infantry. And you can see he's trying to go around these rocks the other way and just get away. So I'm going to charge my cavalry in. Cavalry into the front of infantry. Again, this isn't Attila, but his guys were in very loose formation, and so they do get hammered hard. But these guys that are going to come in, I got to get away. This is not a fight that I want to stay in. So I start trying to extricate my cav, and this is where I can bring my infantry in and start striking the Scipii infantry. Old school, man. This is how we did it. Old school. Praetorian and urban spam. There was actually a lot of balancing issues in Rome 1, and you can't really blame them. They couldn't put out a whole lot of patches back then, and since it probably didn't get thorough testing in like a beta or anything, because this is a different day and age. This released back in 2004. So for 2004, this was amazing what it did, and it took the Total War series to a whole new level of awesome with the 3D battlefields and everything. So yeah, you can see my Praetorian cav wrapping around, just massacring these legionary first cohorts. Look at that guy flying through the air, several of them. Very, very sweet. The charges on Rome 1 were epic. I do have to admit, I'm not one of those people that's like completely stuck on unit collision mechanics, and I don't know why it works the way it does in Rome 2 or Attila or the others, but the units do collide with each other in a much better looking fashion in Rome 1. It's not game breaking for me, but it is something that I wish they could bring back. And I also wish they could bring back the guard mode being enabled and disabled. That was another sweet feature. So the Scipii general here, I'm not going to let this guy survive. You can see him out here. He's the first one in line to run away from his enemies, so very, very brave general. He's like, you men, hurry, run! So anyway, the Civil War has finally caught up with these poor Scipii, and my cavalry is going to come in and brutalize them. You can see them getting bowled over, and here's the enemy general here. Or is that just... No, the enemy general's here. Sorry, my bad. That was a centurion I was looking at, I think. Scipii flying everywhere. The enemy general is now completely knocked to the ground. He's not, or there, he's dead. So we murder the Scipii, and so they are now dead with just a couple of men to survive to tell the tale, which is always important when it comes to a massacre. You need a couple of guys to get away to tell the tale. So again, I'm going to have to fast forward for a long while and get all my troops together. This was a very long battle. And free-for-alls can be this way. That's just kind of the nature. You can see my troops back here in the background. The Macedonian is going to pike box, and that's a good move. I've used my Pilla, and a pike box is his best bet. Making a pike box, though, on Rome 2, you kind of have to know how to do it. In order to do it right, you got to get your men to where they actually touch shoulder to shoulder. You can see his guys have these small gaps. And on a small unit size, it's actually even easier to take advantage of small gaps. So if my opponent does not tighten up his box, I'm going to be able to cause him some pretty serious trouble, because it is not going to be easy for his pikemen to kill my urbans. It would take them a long time to kill them, even in a head-on engagement. Pikes in Rome 1 are definitely more effective than they were in Rome 2, and they played a great role in the game. Made a whole lot of fun for the multiplayer to have the pikes be viable the way they were. But anyway, Jay Wiggy and I were teasing the Julii Roman at this point. Jay Wiggy is the Macedonian. We were teasing Gamer Boy because his cavalry is like way out here in Timbuktu. You can only see his general because all the rest of them are hidden. So the Julii general is taking his cues from the Scipii general, which apparently is to run and hide on the nearest, or on the farthest hill, and apparently the Julii take it one farther and to hide in the forest. So my troops are being rested. It takes a very long time for them to rest, which is why I haven't fast forward. I had to convince the others to put it in fast forward, because obviously I can't just put it in fast forward and it works. You have to convince everybody else. But they were nice. They were good sports. Put it in fast forward, let me sit my troops still when they didn't have to. And then I'm going to have to move my guys across the map. So again, that's going to take a little while longer, but you can see I'm now moving. And the nice thing is, though, is I can fast forward and you don't have to put up with all the in-between time, and then I don't have to do a whole ton of video editing. But yeah, we got the last part of this battle coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got to break this pike box. So like I said, you can see these gaps that my opponent leaves. Good idea in theory. He's just got to seal those gaps and get continuous lines. Because what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to come up, and I'll go ahead and keep fast forwarding. I'm going to put all my guys, kind of get a little, I'm going to focus all on one side, but get split up just a little bit. And then I'll get these small units with just a few men, and I'm going to move through this gap and attack these units in the back. And then, as he is forced to move his other phalanxes to stop me from accomplishing this, that's when I just start piling in, and he's going to have to piecemeal bring more and more forces, which eventually opens his back up to my cavalry. So we're going to open his box. It'll be kind of like opening a package, I guess. So we're going to kind of split the tape here by bringing this small unit in, like you can see. And I'm going to get into the back of this phalanx unit. And this is very bad for him. So again, now he's going to have to pull units over to right this wrong. And as he does that, it's going to open up his flanks even more. So see, like right here, now the box is open, and I can just start collapsing in all over his men. And these royal pikemen are going to do much worse than the Greek hoplites did in this up-close brawl with my Roman cohorts. This is not the type of fight these guys want to be in. So again, you can see me just collapsing on every Macedonian flank that turns to face me, and it's working like a charm at this point. So yeah, into the flank of these royal pikemen. These royal pikemen over here being beaten, and so now my opponent's like, well, I don't want to just let this happen. So he does the noble thing and charges out after me. But I have to be careful of still not getting caught up in his pikes. These guys here get caught out of phalanx. They're in big trouble. But yeah, you can see it's just evolved into an all-out brawl at this point because my opponent didn't want to get picked apart piecemeal. Look at my centurion just got busted up by one of those pikemen. Be a Roman. Quit being a sissy. He's getting this crap. He doesn't have a sword in his hand either. Yeah, he just got killed too. Way to go, Centurion. So, yeah, my general is in the combat as well, and then I bring some cavalry in for a rear charge. And this is what I don't understand. Why didn't the Julii player do this earlier? You can see they're not quite like the Greek phalanxes. These Macedonian phalanxes fall a lot easier to rear charges than the Greek phalanx, like the hoplites units. So I've now killed the Greeks, the Scipii Romans, and the Macedonians. So now we might as well just go for a perfect quadfecta here, if there is such a word, which I'm sure there isn't. And we're going to try and just murder off the Julii. And Gamer Boy at this point does decide that he will not just stay right where he's at. He comes to meet me in a different position. So that was nice of him. So his other cap is hidden somewhere else. He may have been trying to bait me into a trap where I came after his general, and then he springs all his other cav. He has 6 full-strength Praetorian cav here, and it's nothing to laugh at. Actually, a Roman armored general, yeah, and 6 Praetorian cav, almost all full strength. So anyway, I'm fast forwarding because again my guys have to rest, and then I've got to march all the way up this hill. It is going to take a while, but you can see here the remains of the battlefield between the Julii and the Macedonians, where a lot of dead Julii soldiers lie. And then of course you can see my SPQR army, and I wonder if Maximus is proud of me here for representing Roman courage so well in this video, having smashed other delinquent Roman states and Greek and Macedonian states, thus establishing Senate dominance in this case. So I'm sure that he would be proud. Both YouTube Maximus and movie Maximus would probably be proud. Even though this game takes place technically before the time that story, fictional as it were, was supposed to have occurred. So anyway, at this point, yeah, you can see that Gamer Guy is going to move up, and all I need to do is just blunt the charge of his Praetorian Cav with my infantry. They will get some kills, and then just mob up on him. So he clicks a blob order here. Not sure why he does this, but he clicks a blob order on my guys while they were turned around, which was smart. He's going to definitely wreck this urban cohort, but this allows me to now commit a bunch of infantry. It's going to be hard for him to pull out, and then I'm going to have cavalry to chase the units that are pulling out. And these guys can now swing downhill into this engagement. So now a lot of the Praetorian Cav just gets caught, and it's going to get chewed up. The enemy general is in this unit with 7 men left. I get the downhill charges over here, which is good because his guys probably had a little more men left than mine. So, and then I'm going to reinforce with infantry over here as well, just to make sure I win this fight. And of course the Julii troops go ahead and decide to flee again, but there's really nothing to flee, or nowhere left to flee. The Julii general is caught in combat and killed, and so now it's not going to take much, and Gamer Guy goes ahead and admits defeat at this point. It's a fun game. Hope you all enjoyed this free-for-all. Very small unit sizes, but still a big battle with 5 people at once. Why can't we add this back into Attila in Rome 2? I don't understand. It'd be so much fun. This is a different game mode, and you could add all kinds of cool stuff in free-for-all. You could add a building, you know, in the center that helps people be stronger. Like you could put like something that if you capture it, it gives your army a little morale. Put another one that you put out there, and it gives you a little extra ammo, or better weapons, or just whatever it is. Even if it's just a structure where your guys can go in it and defend it, like a fort in the center, and you're trying to play like King of the Hill or Fort. There's so many game modes I think that could be explored that just aren't being explored, and it's unfortunate. Here's the kills. I ended up with 683 kills, so I don't think that anybody else in the field brought a very good army except for Gamer Boy, and his didn't end up getting used well. The Scipii had a bad army. The Greek army wasn't bad, but it's going to be hard to use against all the Romans, and the Macedonian army needed more cavalry if it was going to be effective. But when it comes to these super high funds battles, like I said, you really don't want to bring anybody besides the Romans, but you can only have 4 Roman factions at once. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed something a little different here, some Rome Total War free-for-all, and I'm going to try and keep the variety coming to you. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now.